MXMtoon. Yeah, the first question I wanted to ask you is, how has the pandemic been treating you? Because I saw this tweet of yours saying, can someone please bring me deodorant? I miss someone bringing me deodorant. So there's a lot of stuff going on.
The pandemic has been really weird to adjust to, like any person. I don't think anybody expected to live through an event like this in our lifetime. So we're, going through this whole thing as a community. But it's been up and down. I think I am an introverted person, so I like spending time in my own spaces. But obviously I have a huge part of my whole job missing, of not having live shows to play, not being able to make those in-person connections. So I really miss that, and I'm excited for the opportunity to have that again. I miss asking people to bring me deodorant while I'm on tour, and it's been a while since I've gotten to do that. Yeah.
Yeah, because I think the big advantage that you have is that not only are you a musician, a singer-songwriter, but you're also very active on YouTube and, of course, other social media where you are, well, let's just say you have a bit more followers than I have. Let's just say a couple of 100,000 more. But did that help you during the pandemic? You could do a lot.
Absolutely. I think I started my whole job because I really loved the internet, and I started using it just because I was a teenager who used the internet like any other person. And that is a huge reason why I've continued to do my job, is because I have that ability to make community online, not just in person in spaces like live show venues and stuff like that. And so I definitely think that was a big relief to go into the pandemic knowing that I still had so much understanding of how social media worked and how I could do my job, even in the face of something as crazy as coronavirus. That was wild. So I feel really lucky, and I feel really thankful that I'm still able to keep doing what I love, even despite the different walls that are now up. Mm-hmm.
Could you even say that maybe you are already an expert in it because you started writing music, in your bedroom, kind of locked up? Well, you didn't really need to, but now you have to. Did that kind of enforce or empower your writing these past few years?
I mean, I don't like to brag about being an expert on the internet, but I think I'd like to consider myself quite knowledgeable about the subject of social media. And I think it definitely empowers me to be able to continue to do my work because, when we're in quarantine and in lockdown and being in our own spaces, kind of all I knew even to begin with. So it's not too different from where I started. And so being able to be in my bedroom writing music is something that I still really enjoy doing. And I've been able to do that for the last year too. Although it's been hard. I mean, we're all going through ups and downs every single day.
Yeah. I mean, you missed the deodorant, so that's already a big...
I missed the deodorant.
Yeah, you released a cover of Radiohead's Creep just a couple of weeks ago. And what was it like to release the song? We, of course, are going to talk about what it's on. But I think, Radiohead's Creep, a lot of people love that song. I know Radiohead themselves don't always tend to like it. Yes. But a lot of people are like, don't touch that song. It's perfect. Is that a lot of pressure?
It's so much pressure to take on a song that has such a dedicated audience. People who love Radiohead like nothing else. And so being able to cover that song and doing it for a project like Life is Strange, two very die-hard audiences that would are very hardcore about their fan bases and everything. And so doing Creep was really scary, and it was really daunting, and trying to make it my own without, hopefully tarnishing a song that's very loved by a lot of people, maybe not Radiohead, but the people that listen to it. And so it was daunting, but I think I was able to kind of find the balance between making something that felt like me and also, honoring the original song.
Yeah, I mean, I really like the very different approach to the song when it comes to how it sounds. Of course, the lyrics, they are the same, and the meaning behind it kind of stays the same. But you also did a ukulele tutorial. I mean, a lot of people know you from playing the ukulele, which is, I think, it's one of the best things about you, to be honest. But, is that something that you always had in mind? Okay, I'm going to release this very, I would also almost call it a big budget version of the song, but then also do the ukulele version.
Yeah, I mean, the ukulele versions are always important to me. I learned how to play the ukulele from YouTube tutorials. And so being able to give back that experience to the people that listen to my music, I think is so important because it empowers more people. try out music. I would have never tried doing music for a living if I hadn't watched those tutorials on YouTube telling me how to play a chord on a ukulele, because I would have never learned how to play the ukulele, and I turned it into my job. And so hopefully in the process of making videos like that, despite doing like big budget productions and making songs that are really wonderfully produced, you can still make really impactful and powerful things with just one instrument. And so hopefully being able to show that to people and empower them to do the same.
Yeah, your version of Creep is part of the soundtrack for the upcoming game Life is Strange True Colors. Now, I'm a big Life is Strange fanboy. I kind of play, the music of those soundtracks, they are fantastic already. There's just a lot of great songs on the games that have already been released. There's a new one coming out this fall. How did that go? Like, were you a Life is Strange fan, or what? How did this came to be?
I am also a very big Life is Strange fan. I've played almost every game except for 2. So I've played the prequel and Before the Storm, and I've played the first one. And so I love the soundtrack. Like, I love Daughter. When I was playing Life is Strange and being able to like consume Daughter's music through the game, I was like, this is the coolest thing ever. Like, this artist I really love is on this game I also really love. And so when Life is Strange approached me and was like, hey, we think you'd be a really good fit to be the singing voice for our main protagonist, and like, do you want to take a stab at this? I was like, of course, I want to take, like, I would love to do that. I would love to. And so it was a really cool opportunity. And I think like to be a part of a game franchise that I think does such a lovely job of incorporating music as such a important part of the storyline, and to have a game where the main person is actually a musician and being able to be a part of her story and be a part of the kind of vibes she emits is super, super cool. And it was really scary though too. I was like, I hope that I'm doing a good job of this while I was working on it.
Yeah, you're doing the singing voice of the main character for the game, but you don't do the regular voice. So how did that came to be? Did you meet the actress that like regularly plays her, or did you kind of adjust some things for that? How do you do something like that? And maybe even more important, aren't you just a little bit disappointed that you didn't get the entire voice role?
This is my first time doing any sort of like voice acting or voiceover stuff. So I was totally fine with just being the singing voice. I would have been really, I mean, they've been working on this game since 2017. So the idea of doing like voice work for like 4 years is a little bit daunting because I've never done it before. So I was totally happy to just do the singing. But I never actually got to speak to Erica Mori, who's the voice of Alex Chen in Life is Strange 3. And so I listened to a lot of her clips of her talking and kind of like tried to see if I could match my vocal tonation with the way that she speaks. But I think at the end of the day, I landed on the judgment that, Square Enix asked me to do this because they think I am a good sound fit already based off of the stuff that I'm doing. So I'll just sound like myself. And I think it came off really well. Mm-hmm.
Now, it has also been announced that Phoebe Bridgers is going to be on the soundtrack and Girl in Red are going to be on the soundtrack. Is that something? Are that just songs that they put on the game, or are there also covers that you're maybe doing or maybe not?
I don't know. I don't have all the access to the information about the Phoebe Bridgers Girl in Red involvement on Life is Strange, but I'm a huge fan of both of their work. So I think I'll just be super stoked to hear their voices any way that I can inside of the game, because I will personally be playing this game and nerding out in the process of it when it comes out.
Yeah. You mentioned Daughter that did like almost the entire soundtrack for one of the games. Is that also something you're involved with, like the instrumental score?
I am not doing instrumental score, but Alex sings quite a bit inside of the game. And so all I can share at this point is that there's definitely more on the horizon, and I've done more than just one thing. So stay tuned.
That's very exciting. And what was for you the biggest difference between just writing an album or an EP and doing a game?
There's so much more to pay attention to. I think when you're writing an album, you're writing for yourself, and maybe you're writing it for a character that you're making for this album or whatever. But when I was doing the voiceover work for Alex, like I asked the directors and everybody who was working on the characters, being like, what's her emotional state in this moment as I'm singing, and like doing take after take and like the slightest minuscule changes to the way that you're saying a word, so that way it comes off the right way for the final version. And when I'm singing for an album, I'm kind of like, I think this feels right in this moment. Like, I guess I'll just roll with it. And it's very different. I think, it's so interesting to make something for yourself versus making something that you're really trying to encapsulate a character that has been worked on for years at this point and do her justice in the eyes of the people that have designed her and crafted her story.